Hello and welcome to another video here on the Conservative Pelican channel. On this video I talk a lot about politics, I talk a lot about working in the retail industry, and I just talk about life in general. But today I'm going to talk to you about sports, in particularly my team that I've liked since I was about 5 years old, pretty much my whole life. My favorite team in all of sports is the Baltimore Orioles. Yes, of course, growing up in Maryland and everything, they're kind of a part of my life, I should say. And, every day, no matter how bad they are, how good they are, I always, read up on how they're doing. Might not watch too many games because of the blackout restrictions here in North Carolina right now. That's a whole nother video I could do on that. But, I follow them. What can I say? They're my team. Through sickness. Right now they're going through a lot of sickness. And also in good times. Really, in my opinion, what the Orioles really had a window to win a World Series back between 2014 and 2016. Now, in 2014, they lost to the Royals that were, kind of that team of destiny. They lost to the Royals in the ALCS. And then after that offseason, they had a golden opportunity to try to really push themselves over the edge so that in 2015 or 16 they could win a World Series. However, they failed to do that. And after the 2014 season, what I would have done is I would have given Markakis his 4-year contract, because he's done really well with the Braves, even better than when he was in Baltimore. I also would have given Nelson Cruz his 4-year contract. He's done another guy who's doing phenomenal with the Mariners. And I would have given Andrew Miller his 4-year deal. And I also probably would have gone out and gotten another starting pitcher or two. And yeah, the payroll would probably be close to $200 million. But guess what? The Orioles would have won the World Series in 15 and maybe even 16. But instead, they didn't do that, and they're still looking for a right fielder. The starting pitching's gotten better. The bullpen has regressed quite a bit. In 2015, of course, they won 81 and 81, and then 2016, they did go back to the playoffs, but it was that one-game playoff where everybody knows that Buck put Ubaldo Jimenez in instead of Zach Britton, and we all know how that turned out. So anyway, the main point, though, of this video is I'm going to tell you what I think the Orioles need to do this year in order to, look, they're not going to the playoffs. I mean, they've already got, 59 losses. The good playoff teams, they only lose 60 games out of the whole year. And right now we're just halfway through the year and they got 59 losses. So that's not going to work. No, they're not going to finish 500. But can they maybe avoid 100 losses and maybe play, a few games over 500, maybe finish the year with 90 or 95 losses? I say maybe they can do that. But, of course, they're going to have to make some changes, and everybody's been talking about the trade deadline recently. And first I'm going to talk about the pitching staff. This one, the Orioles could have traded a lot of pitchers, but the only guy who they're probably going to be able to trade is Brad Brock. Zach Britton, they might be able to trade, but right now he's got an ERA close to 7. And, he's just been pitching for a couple weeks. So if he gets really good over the next month, Gets his ERA down below 3 and saves 9 out of 10 games or whatever, something like that, then yeah, they could probably trade him and get something for him. Not as much as, say, if they traded him, though, back last year at the deadline, which they should have done. Let's see. So the bullpen, first I'll say, another thing I would do is I would send Michael Givens back to AAA. He's been struggling pretty much. He had a good stretch of a couple weeks where he got his ERA down below, like in the low mid 3s, but most of the season it's been hovering between 4.00 and 5.00, and today he's gave up 3 runs without, I think he recorded maybe 1 out, but yeah, his ERA right now is at 4.60, and this is a guy who has led the majors for the last 2 seasons in wins. He's also up there in appearances, and the last couple of years, usually when you look at Michael Givens, his ERA has been right around 3. So this is a guy who's definitely underperforming, and Buck needs to stop using him all the time. But Buck has his favorites, his buddies, his man crushes that he likes to use, and but they need to send Givens down to the minors for a little while for him to get himself back to where he needs to be, because he should next year or even later this year be the closer for the Orioles. But you're not going to be a closer, or even a good one, if your ERA is sitting in the mid 4s. I mean, that's because relievers, good relievers, you need their ERA, really good ones, below 3. Because think about it. If you have an ERA of 3, you're going to give up a run every 3rd appearance, right? Starters, you pitch more innings, so your ERA can be higher and you get away with stuff. But relievers, yeah. I mean, think about it. If he's got an ERA of 4.60, it means every other game he's coming into, he's going to give up at least 1 run. And if you're a closer, 1 or 2 run game, that's just not going to suffice. Okay. If Britton gets traded, the guy who they should probably put in as closer is Donnie Hart, because he's doing it right now at AAA. That's probably the only reason. He's been kind of good and bad, but generally he's been, his ERA's in the mid 3s. It's not the greatest, but they could try him. He's a left-hander like Britton, so we'll see. The rest of the bullpen, I'd move Miguel Castro and Michael Wright into the 7th and 8th inning setup roles, because they've been pitching lights out for both of them like the past month or so. And then I would, for my situational lefty, on a team that's 35 games away 500, situational lefty is kind of a luxury, but if he needs a role, it'd be Paul Fry. I try him out. They just called him up a couple days ago, so he might stink up the joint over the next couple weeks, but we'll see how he does. Another guy that just called up, and he's I'm going to put him in the middle relief role, is Randy Meskiner. Okay, he's gonna be like if my starter goes 5, or if my starter goes into the 6th inning and he can't get anybody out, he hits a wall, I'm gonna call on Randy Meskiner to get outs as my middle reliever. And then my in long relief, I'm gonna take David Hess out of the rotation because he's really struggling. Put him in the bullpen as my long man, my mop-up guy kind of guy. And then my other, the last guy in the bullpen, or a guy who I would have as my spot starter, is a guy by the name of Jeffrey Ramirez, a guy the Orioles picked up from the Yankees last year, and he's done very well as a starter. So, and then my rotation, first 4 wouldn't change. I'd have Bundy, Gaussman, Cashner, Cobb. My fifth starter, though, would not be David Hess. I would call up Keegan Aiken, and he'd be my fifth guy. I mean, he's ready to go. He's dominating Double-A, and, some say, well, he should go Triple-A, but, Manny Machado never played Triple-A, and he's turned out great, so there you go. Now, let me go over to, this is where it gets really fun. The batting order, the position players. Okay. Let's see here. Of course, I'd play Chance Sisco. He'd be my everyday catcher. He needs experience. The Orioles need to see whether or not he's going to be their catcher of the future. If he's not, they can go out in free agency this winter and go get another catcher. Maybe Wellington Castillo want to come back. We'll see. Of course, he's suspended right now, like 80 games or something, so he kind of messed up, but we'll see. First base, I'd put Chris Davis on the bench, and Trey Mancini would be my first baseman. Second baseman would be Jonathan Scope. That's more because he's struggling this year. He's hitting the $197, but this is more about what he did last year and the year before rather than this year. And the Orioles only, they only have so many position players in the minors right now they can call up and, But you never know. Maybe they'll get a middle infielder prospect for Machado in the trades. Shortstop would be Ryan Mountcastle. Okay, I would move him from third to short. Drew Joyce is a guy right now, Triple-A, doing very well. He'd be my third baseman. Left field, now we're at the outfield. That's where the really big changes are. Okay, in left field, DJ Stewart would call him up from Triple-A. He's hitting .268, got a very high on-base percentage. Cedric Mullins is about ready. He's just in Triple-A too. Center field, right fielder Anthony Santander would come back. He's hitting .282 right now, Double-A Bowie. My DH, unless he gets traded, which I don't think is likely, my DH would be Mark Trumbo, but he's got $20 million left on his contract right now, and they owe $13 million next year on his contract. So I don't think he's going to get traded. If he does get traded, I'd probably put Mountcastle at DH, and shortstop, I'd probably it might be who I get in a trade from Machado, or I'll put Steve Wilkerson there. Now, my bench would be backup catcher Caleb Joseph. Utility infielder would be Steve Wilkerson. My other guy on the bench is Chris Davis, and he can play first base, he can play third base, he can play outfield, he can be my DH, he can be my pinch hitter off the bench, but whatever. He's going to be on the bench, okay? And if he doesn't like it, well, he can retire, or he can go down Triple-A for a month, okay? And my fourth outfielder will be Joey Rickard, because right now, I would say Austin Hayes, I'd call him up, but, he's hurt right now, and he's struggling this year, so, Rickard's a guy who the Orioles have given opportunity after opportunity to, and he hits very well at Triple-A, but he struggles. Except in his first year. When he was up here, he did very well. Slumped, got hurt, played, he slumped, but then he played well and then got hurt back in 2016. Really hasn't been the same guy since. At best, he's a fourth outfielder. So, team looks very different. Now, how I would pull this off, well, I'd designate for assignment the following players. Colby Rasmus, Craig Gentry, they're both over 30. They stink. Deadwood. Jace Peterson, I'd see if I can, I don't know what his situation is, but yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to send him back to Triple-A or be able to, might have to DFA him too. Trades. Obviously, Manny's going bye-bye. Adam Jones is going bye-bye. Danny Valencia. And this one might surprise you, but Tim Beckham. The Orioles are not going to get a lot for Tim Beckham, but if they can get just maybe a guy, a rookie league prospect or something for Tim Beckham, a bag of balls or peanuts, whatever, I'd be okay with that. But really, he's just, he's not a major league player. He's a bust. Now the batting order. Let's talk about the batting order. You make all these moves. Right now, the Orioles have a lot of right-handed bats, right? That's been a complaint the whole season. The only left-handed bats they had was Chance Sisco, Chris Davis, and that's pretty much it. But this batting order I'm going to propose to y'all is a lot more balanced than what they have right now. So my leadoff hitter is going to be the same as right now. It's going to be Trey Mancini. He's a right-handed bat. Batting second to be DJ Stewart. Okay, left-handed bat. Third is going to be Ryan Mountcastle because he's got a great bat. Okay, he's right-handed hitter. Mark Trumbo, unless he gets traded, will be right-handed bat in the fourth hole. Drew Deutsch will be batting left-handed, fifth hole. Number 6 will be Anthony Santander, switch hitter. Craig Mullins is also a switch hitter. He'll be batting seventh. Jonathan Scope will be batting right-handed in the 8 hole. And then number 9 will be Chance Sisco, left-handed. Now, if Jonathan Scope starts to heat up, I might move him up to maybe the 5th or the 6th hole and maybe move Deutsch or Santander down. But really, right now, Scope's not hitting, so I'm going to put him very low in order. Neither is Sisco either, so we'll see. A lot of these positions, probably the top 4 is not going to change, but certainly the bottom 5 I could see changing. It just depends on performance. So now let's talk about the payroll. The Orioles' payroll is $152 million. That may seem high, but believe it or not, it's only 14th in the major leagues. What's the lowest payroll? I thought, before I researched it, I thought it was like 40 or 50 million. No, it's 80 million. And that's with the Chicago White Sox. Next year's team, payroll-wise, it's going to be sitting probably somewhere between 100 and 120 million. If they don't add any free agents this winter, it's probably going to be between 100 and 110. They got Dylan Bundy up for arbitration for the first time. And, of course, Michael Givens is up for arbitration, but he's really struggling. But, yeah, really, Bundy's he's making about $1.5 million right now. Yeah, so he'll probably be going up quite a bit because he's the Orioles' most consistent starting pitcher, the best one on the staff. And what the Orioles really, really need to do this offseason is something that you look at a lot of other teams in the American League have done. You look at Houston and Cleveland especially. When a player gets to arbitration after they get 3 years in the majors, the Orioles need to do what the Indians and Astros have done, and they need to go ahead and sign those players to contract extensions that are at least 4-year deal, okay? Between probably 4 and 6, because when you do a contract extension after your 3rd year, it's going to be a lot less expensive, and you'll have you'll keep the player for three more years, obviously, but then a year to 3 more years past when their free agency was supposed to hit. Okay, so now what do I mean by that? Well, Bundy right now is under the Orioles' control through the end of the 2021 season when he can become a free agent. Okay, what I would do is I would offer Bundy, I'd say give him 6 6 years, 70, 75 mil. Okay. And then, so that would keep him around until 2024. Okay. Gausman is another player who the Orioles really need to extend. He is up after 2020 season. 2020 season. He's probably, I don't know. I guess I'd give Bundy 6 years, 80. Probably have to give Bundy more than Gausman, but Gausman still's probably going to need quite a bit. I'd probably do like 6 for 90 with Bundy and maybe 6 for 75 with Gausman. Lock those players up. Those will be your 1-2 in the rotation for hopefully, the next 6 to 10 years. And let's see. Cashner contract is through next year, then the option for 2020. Cobb will be here, and hopefully it'll be a lot better next year. Cobb's going to be here until 2021. By 2020, 2021, you should have some of these arms right now that are at, with the Shorebirds and everything should be up. Your Zach Lothar, Brandon Hennefy, and some others that are doing very well. So, again, the Orioles need to make some trades. They need to get some guys from Bowie and Norfolk. See how things are going to go. In the offseason, they need we'll see, maybe get a catcher, maybe get a right fielder. And then they need to extend some pitchers, Bundy and Gausman. So that is what I think the Orioles need to do to get better. And that's all I got to say about that right now. Bye-bye.